So, the idea for this episode really came when Abby and I were sitting around at the table. I was telling her one thing that's interesting to think about is that we are the adults now and we are leaving our imprint on our kids. So, to think back about when we were growing up, what was imprinted on us? And so today we're going to share a lot of positive examples of the things that our parents or coaches or other people instilled in us. But then we're also going to talk about sometimes the installation can go too far. Like it can cross over to where they kind of made you nervous about something in a way where it's interesting to think about it because, like I said, now our kids are very impressionable. They're at the age where they're getting a lot of lessons from us and otherwise. So we thought that this would be a really good episode to just think about all of that. Also, I forgot to do our little chit chat in the beginning. I know we said we wouldn't do that every time, but this time, this morning, it was announced that Frankie Taylor Paul is going to be the next Bachelorette. Why is this interesting? I don't watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette anymore. The last season I watched was honestly so long ago. It was like JoJo, her season. So that's probably been 10 years. I don't know, something like that. And maybe a little less than that, but just around there. But I watch, you guys know we were talking last time, I watch a lot of reality TV. Taylor Frankie Paul is like a breakout reality TV star from Real Housewives. No, sorry, from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And if you haven't watched that, I would recommend it. If you like reality TV, the best thing about reality TV is when new shows start because that is when they are most themselves. They forget to edit themselves. They are just wild. So anyways, watch that. And then we are going to watch The Bachelorette.
We're going to do it.
We're going to do it. Cable?
I have cable.
I think you can also watch on Hulu. I'm not sure.
I think
we'll
figure
it out.
I have cable.
We want to do like a watch party with our friends, just kind of make it a funny return to watch. Did you ever watch The Bachelor?
So I watched The Bachelor, and it was the season that everyone hated. It was the guy that goes,
Juan Pablo.
Exactly. He's okay. That's the only one. That's literally the only season that I ever watched. And every single, whatever it was, Tuesday or Thursday night, my mom and I would go over to my mom's best friend's house.
Always Monday?
Whatever it is.
I don't know.
Literally have zero idea what day it was, but we'd always go over. It was this really nice thing. My mom also zero reality TV. So it was she and I going to her best friend's house who was really into it, and her daughter who was the exact same age as me. We weren't that close of friends, but we became really good friends during that time because we watched Juan Pablo. So this is going to be really fun.
And the thing about this is, so to give you guys context, if you don't know, Taylor Frankie Paul is she rose to fame from a swinging scandal. Because she's Mormon, and that is usually doesn't align, the swinging and the Mormons. So she spilt that tea on TikTok and it blew up. It was seriously the biggest story. And then because of all that, she got this reality TV show with her friends in her group. And so just to see the evolution of, maybe drop your biggest scandal. We're one scandal away from blowing
there
up.
There we go. I remember when you were watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yeah.
And you were so into it. I feel like I watched the show because you watched it. Because you literally explained it every single day. And I was like, okay, what happens now? Is it worth jumping in right now? And then you gave me a really good overview. Yeah. So I'm excited to actually watch this.
Yeah, it's really good. So that'll be interesting. I'm still not reading a book.
I'm still in the same one.
Okay.
Yep. It's still very, very deep, very, very dark. It's a very long book. It's like a 430 page book, 60 page book, whatever. So it's just a little bit longer than our Carly Fortune. Yeah. Okay. So it's there.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So back to the task at hand. We're going to talk about things that were really imprinted on us when we were growing up. I'll start with one that has been so helpful to my life in a way in which I hope it inspires all of us listening, including myself, to think about this. So while I was growing up, my mom truly did not put a lot of stock or emphasis on appearance. And this was the type of thing where she was never, I always tell you guys, she would jump in a swimsuit. She was always in the pool. We were at Noah's Ark. She didn't have a cover up on. She just did not ever make it feel like women needed to, if you have a certain shape, you need to be covered up, like anything like that. Very rarely would she talk about, oh, I need to go on a diet, I need to lose weight, anything like that. Like, it really wasn't a conversation that happened very often at all. I grew up with two sisters. She was never, negatively talking about our appearance or that we needed to adjust anything. It was just a really healthy environment to grow up confidence wise. Like, she showed us how to be confident. She showed us how to, not just make that the main character of your life. Abby and I relate on this one because both of our moms, as we were growing up, didn't really wear makeup, didn't really care what they were wearing, like, in a way that it was just helpful to show we are so much more than the way that we look. We are so much more than the way that we dress. Of course, Abby and I, we do like to wear makeup and we do like to get dressed, and that's not wrong either. I think if you let it take over your life, where my family's never waiting for me, I'm never,
right.
We're very
5 to 10 minute makeup routines, outfits that we know we feel confident in.
We've made it work for our lives where it's kind of a blend of the two. Like, yes, we put a little more thought in, but it's not something where we're sitting out of an event because we can't find the perfect dress or anything like that. So whether you're raising girls or boys, I always say that, really thinking about the way that you're moving in your life so that they don't get the message your appearance is the most important thing about you.
When we grew up, and many of you might relate to this, with the almond mom generation, where there was a lot of moms that were hyper fixated on their own looks, on their own body, on the newest trend. And then when their daughters got to be old enough, they hyper fixated on them as well. And I did have several friends who had moms like that. And I remember so specifically coming home. It was late one night. It was after college, and we ate a pizza. And it was 2 a.m. We ate a pizza. We tried to clean up as much as we could because in that household, absolutely, yeah, you don't. First of all, you don't eat pizzas, but then you absolutely clean up every single crumb after yourself. So it's 2 a.m. We're cleaning up every single crumb, and the next morning, the mom had seen the pizza box in the garbage can. And I remember her saying to my friend, "Did you really need to eat pizza? It was 2 a.m. Did you really need to come home and eat?" And I remember in my mind,
it's the most important to eat.
I remember like, we hadn't eaten since 7 p.m. dinner. Like we had been out the entire night. Like, yes, we needed to eat. But it also was this thing in my mind that my mom would have I had never heard those words. My parents never talked like that. And I just realized, you don't realize sometimes until it's too late that you have something really good going when you have a parent that isn't hyperfixated on that. My mom once said, she goes, "If my friends don't like my gray hair and my regular face, then they're not my friends." Because I remember being kind of embarrassed for a while because my mom's hair went really gray really fast and she cut it super short.
A lot of people's would. It's just we dye.
I mean, my hair starting at 30, 32. Yeah. I had to dye my grays.
So your mom naturally let the grays run their course. Yep. And that felt embarrassing because everyone else's moms were dyeing.
So I was like, my mom doesn't look like other moms. Yeah. And I remember saying that, like, "Mom, why don't you put mascara on? Why don't you dye your hair?" And she's like, "My friends like me how I am. If they don't like me how I am, then they're not my friends." I remember it so well. And having this conversation, having this podcast, it made me think about all these simple conversations that I don't think about on a daily basis. Right. I haven't thought about that conversation in years and years and years. And then it just came right back.
Yeah. I think for this one, it's what you say and also what you do. And that's not to put too much pressure on you guys, but I think it's really smart to be thoughtful of the way that you're presenting that part of your life to your children.
And to kind of go along with that, we were talking about the friends part of it. My parents were really big on community and who they surrounded themselves with, even if it was small within your local community, asking for support, helping others, volunteering. Like, my parents were always really big into the charities and being part of this event and, showing up over here, and they still do it over and over and over again.
Your mom won like Woman of the Year.
But it was so cool to be able to see that. She's been part of Rotary for her entire life. Like, she's always helping. Yeah. But even before we had a kid with special needs, she was helping kids with special needs do what they wanted to do. So it's just been so cool to see her do that, because there were so many parts of my childhood growing up that I look back on. I'm like, oh, I wish my parents were different, or I wish they would have, yeah, dyed their hair. The smallest little thing, but it can be so big to a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl. And then you look back on the things that really matter, and that one stuck with me. Like, I love being part of community. I love, even at a local level, joining the fun events. I mean, we're doing a better job right now of, being part of the events, going to the random things that are around. And it is so much fun every time we go.
Community is truly anywhere you go to. I remember I wrote my senior year, I wrote a paper about this, but my dad truly, if he goes to Menards, he works in construction. Everyone knows him. And he's talking to every single person that he runs into. They know each other, they connect quick. He's taught me to be so kind to the waitress, the barista. Like, you look them in the eye, you say their name, you put your phone down. Like, that stuff has really stuck with me. I feel like it's so important in this really fast-paced world to slow down and make those human connections with everyone that you run into, because it feels good on both ends.
Even when you say that, we grew up in North Dakota. So for the first 4 years of my life, my dad and my brother lived there longer. I'll tell that story in a little bit, but we lived in North Dakota. The nearest gas station was 15 miles away. And I remember, even after you could pay at the pump, my dad still to this day goes inside to pay for gas because he can go and talk to people. And I remember sitting in the back of the car or going in with him and being like, Dad, come on, do we have to do this? But again, the things that are important to him from there. Being on the kindness thing too, being kind to others, because you never know what their story is. That is one that, I mean, both of us grew up in, it was hard for a long time. Money wasn't easy to come by for either of our families. When we lived in North Dakota, my mom and I moved to Wisconsin when I was 4, and it was just the two of us. We didn't have enough money to move our entire family. And I remember we stayed in a fisherman's winter shack. Like, he had this beautiful place on the water, but it was the wintertime. So he was at his Arizona place, whatever it was. And he let us stay in this little shack for the entire winter because we didn't have enough money to afford rent. And it was these little things, these little gestures, these little gifts. I'm going to start to tear up thinking about it. These like little things that our family needed so bad in that time, because we moved with nothing, or we didn't have family where we were living in North Dakota. We had no family. We had no family in Oconomowoc at that time either. And just the little things that people did to just help us on our way. And you don't know someone's story. You don't know what they've come from. You don't know where they're going. It really can mean so much there's like little things that you can do to really help them out.
Absolutely. Okay. This next one, this one might be one that went a little far, but I think that the message was helpful to my life. So my dad had 4 kids, and 3 of them were girls. And he said when he was raising us, he just really kept thinking, if they someday find a partner, I really want them to be able to marry for love and have that relationship just be enhancing to their life. Like, they don't need it. Obviously, times have evolved. Even when our parents were in their adulthood, it was common for one parent to stay home and one parent to work. It's much more common now for our generation to need 2 working parents. But he's growing up seeing these women that are kind of stuck in their relationship because financially they couldn't really make a move. And the money equaled power to the husband. So the husband had power over his wife. And my dad was just like, I do not want that for my girls. I want to raise them to be independent. I want to raise them to be able to take care of themselves. I want them to be able to have options. So just emphasizing that to us. I think he said that so many times. And to get an education, to get a good job, to have options in your life. And I think that just really stuck with me to the point where I'm like, I think this one is burned into my soul because it's so important to me to be able to take care of myself and take care of my family should anything happen. Life is really hard. Unfortunately, things do happen. And I just always wanted to make sure that I could take care of myself. And it's really important to me in a way that's like, I'm like, think I could. Drew and I have been very stably married for 11 years, but I do love the independence of, having the ability to make money and have a choice should anything happen.
Do you remember when he started having those conversations with you?
I think it was like pretty early on.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't like you need to make money so that you don't have to depend on a man. It was way softer than that. It was like, it's really good to be able to take care of yourself. Like, I want the best for you guys,
Yeah.
It wasn't harshly worded by any means. But it was definitely the message. It's also like little things along the way, like pointing things out.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kids pick up. And so for me, and maybe my siblings would find it differently. For me, that was one of the overarching messages. Like, it's really important so that when you find a partner, he saw that as a way to have a really healthy partnership. If you guys are both, able to take care of yourselves, then your partnership is awesome because it's not focused on, I make the money, you do this.
Yeah. And to have that person just for something specific and to feel like you need to stay around because of the financial necessity.
It's not like he's not against stay-at-home parents by any means, and either are we, but that was an impression for me that just has stuck with me.
Yeah. And those are the things that at a very young age you do remember. I remember, so in our household, it wasn't as soft. I remember my parents fighting about money. Like, I remember it very, very well. I remember being in North Dakota in our tiny little farmhouse and my parents fighting about money so much. I mean, to the fact that they were never talking about divorce, but my mom said, I need to make money. I am not making any money here. You're a farmer. You sometimes make money. You sometimes don't. There's no job opportunity for me. And so that's when my mom and I moved to Wisconsin. My brother was 9 months old. He was so little at the time, but I was really hard. I was a really, really tricky toddler and probably a tricky grade schooler too, but still tricky here. I was really, really complicated. So my mom's like, I can't leave this toddler with my dad. Like, he's not going to be able to take care of her. So she left a 9-month-old. She weaned herself. She was still breastfeeding at the time, left a 9-month-old with my dad because she needed to make money. And then I think we lived apart for a year, maybe, in that little fisherman shack. And then we moved into a motel for a couple of months. But I remember it being really stressful. Like, money to me was stress. Having money meant no stress. Not having money meant stress.
I also got that message.
Yes. And that was everything. And whether I was 2 or 4 or 6 or 7, I'm not sure exactly when it started to get easier for us. I know in high school, I think in 3rd grade, we were able to buy our first house. So we moved every single year until I was in 3rd grade, rented every single time. And I think that's when it started to be a little bit easier as far as money went for us. But it still stuck with me that money does not grow on trees. You have to work really hard for money. It is not easy to have money. That stuck with me. And kind of like what you were saying, Amy, it took it too far. So even when we did have enough money to not be on food stamps, and when we could go on a vacation every once in a while, it was usually camping, but we could leave the house every once in a while. It still, my mind was, you save every single penny that you get, to the point where in high school, I would babysit and then I would put that money in my savings account. I would babysit and put my money in the savings account. I would pack my lunch every single day. I never bought clothes. Like, it was a really big deal to do anything. And I remember missing out on so many little things that my friends were doing because I didn't want to pay the entry fee here.
$6
or
for a movie.
Literally, yes, like go $6 for a movie. Absolutely not. I'm going to wait until it comes out on Blockbuster. We can all split the $4.99 and, make our own popcorn at home. And I think I know that I missed out on several experiences that my friends went to because that was in my mind. And I remember this so well. And this came up when we were talking about this episode, was my friends were going to Summerfest. If you live in Wisconsin, you all know what Summerfest is. It's a great thing. I would always go to Summerfest at least once a year, but then my friends were going again, and it was the 2nd or 3rd night in a row, whatever it was. And I was like, I'm not going to go. I already went to Summerfest. I go once a year. It's too expensive. And my dad goes, "You're not going? Like, we're all dressed up. We had such a great day. And then I was going to stay home because I didn't want to pay the entry fee to Summerfest." And my dad was looking at me saying, "You're not going to go to Summerfest?" He like would like to live vicariously through his teenage kids. He really likes to have a lot of fun. He's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "It's too expensive." He's like, "But didn't you babysit today?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I didn't make enough to cover everything." And my parents didn't give me a lot of money growing up. We didn't make money for chores. That was just part of being part of the household. They didn't, I mean, besides birthdays, we just didn't get money from my parents. And when my dad gave me a $50 bill and he goes, "I want you to have so much fun tonight." And for some people, you might be like, "Okay, he gave you $50." That did not happen. That was the first time besides a birthday or Christmas that had ever happened. And we're looking at it. And the thought that went through my mind was I could save this and I'd be $50 ahead. But also knowing that my dad really wanted me to have fun. And that was another lesson that somewhere during the grade school to middle school to high school years, when we started to be just more stable, my dad, especially my dad, he just loves having fun. And his fun is very, very different. So that's like another lesson too. Like he's the guy that will go on a 3-week trip to Costa Rica and he'll spend literally $4,000 for 3 weeks, including the plane ticket and all of his stay. Like he likes really cheap, long vacations. And that's the kind of fun that he likes to have. And for my dad, the lesson that I learned from him is have fun in the way that you want to have fun. Like you don't have to have fun in the way that your friends want to have fun, but definitely have fun the way that you want to have fun. Yeah. That memory from Summerfest, it might seem very simple to you, but it meant so much to me.
Yeah. If you guys don't want to rollerblade, that's fine. But Abby and I are going to.
Any chance we can on a Friday, you will find us rollerblading. We do get some funny looks. It's fun just because people are surprised, I think. They go past us.
Most 40-year-old women
in our helmets, in our rollerblades, sometimes wearing matching outfits, and we're just out there having a good time.
Absolutely. I think, there is some really good wisdom from these 60, is your dad 70 something?
72.
60, 70-year-old men. My dad recently has been saying to me, he said, if you don't do it now, then when? Mm-hmm. And I think for us right now at our age, it does seem like we still have time to do what we want. But in this phase of life, there's always going to be something to do. Like there's always the house to clean, everything to do to manage the family. But if you stop yourself, you have to have some fun along the way. Yeah. I think our dads are both very good at doing that and telling us, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Like, don't wait to do something that you really want to do or that is really fun. You want to make that choice and live.
Gosh, it is really fun being around your dad. Amy's dad comes up quite a bit to want to, and we're lucky enough that we get to see Grandpa Todd. Our kids sit next to him. They call him Grandpa Todd. And it is fun because it doesn't even have to be your own parents or your own grandparents. It could literally be your best friend's parents or your aunt or uncle or a coach or a teacher that has said something to you and it stuck with you. Mm-hmm. And I know it's easy to remember the things that people say that hit the wrong chord or didn't feel good. But when you stop and really think, and I think that was a good learning lesson for this episode, is last night I went home and I thought about all the good things that people have said, that people have done, the little things that after they're done, you don't even think about it twice because it's like, oh, okay, that was an experience. We're done. We're on to the next thing. It's so easy to go on to the next thing. But when you actually stop and think, you can just be so grateful for so many of these pieces of
I feel
life.
like it's also really reassuring because like I know I'm very polite to, the barista, the waitress. I know my kids always see that example. I think, and Drew is too. I think that as parents, we can be kind of hard on ourselves because we're like, oh, I just yelled at all of them yesterday. And they honestly needed it. But to slow down and be like, okay, the example that I am setting is the things that I do consistently. Like I know I'm showing up. I know I'm being kind to the people around me. I know I'm showing them how to move their bodies, whatever it is. I know I'm showing them a healthy marriage.
Yes.
So think of it that way. Like really sometimes peel yourself back, think about the good examples that you had. And we could do 7 episodes on negative things that have happened to us in our life. A lot of people could say the negative lessons, but I do think to think of some of the positive lessons that you had growing up, whether it was family or beyond. And then also think of some of the things that you're doing really good right now, because I know that the people that listen to this podcast, I know that they're doing good things. Bye.